Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a real treat here for Sportzwire Radio and sportnarium.com/player because he's somebody we've known here for quite a bit over the past few years. He's doing a phenomenal job for our red-hot, resurgent, five-town sound men's basketball team, the nationally ranked basketball team, of course, number 11 in the country, and they're coming off a performance. I mean, listen, move over Golden State because you watch these guys play, ladies and gentlemen. They are certainly a lot of fun to watch and get up and down the court. And on a 5-game winning streak, they've got quite a number of players we're going to speak with. And he's somebody that we've had, obviously, on our live shows. We've spoke with him in the past, and I think we're getting ready to bring him on here. And he's doing a phenomenal job as our head coach of the Five-Town Sound men's basketball team. And without further ado, here on the Sports Report, the number one global sports show, our number one head coach for our Five-Town Sound men's basketball team, and that is Greg Drzal. Coach, welcome back.
Oh, you scared me.
Coach, you've been on before. You called me like 3 months ago. We were talking about, well, we're not going to bring up the Yankees because they're not even playing
don't
baseball.
bring up the Yankees.
But Coach,
you've
been through this before. You know that I give these intros. So I mean,
I know.
And you know, for you are one of our favorites. You know that you are one of our favorites. We wanted to have you back. We've been waiting. The time is right. Now that you guys are on a break, 5-game winning streak, momentum is all there. A lot of players to talk about. I mean, you got to talk to us, and especially those who are listening to this on Sportswire Radio, about some of the keys here for this late run here. 5 consecutive wins here going into break.
We're getting better. We're young. we're getting better. We still have a long way to go. It's a marathon, not a sprint, but we're happy what's going on so far.
Well, you certainly should be, because I know at the start of the year, I wanted to bring you on, and then we were like, they started the season kind of slow. And I'm like, I hate to bring a coach on when they're off to a slow start. I mean, I'll give you an example. John Jay is off to a 2-7 start, and I speak to their SID every time, and it's like, well, I don't know if I should bring the coach on because they haven't won anything. So I wanted to make sure we got you on at the right time. But I think the team is really starting to gel. And all kidding aside here, watching these past few games, some of the wins you've had here, I'm starting to feel like that this team here is really starting to gel up. I know as a coach, you're going to obviously want things to continue to improve. We have conference play that we still really haven't gotten into. We're going to have a lot of key games coming up here in January and February. But I feel, Coach, that you guys are starting to gel here.
We're getting there. It took a while after COVID, to get back into it. We have a lot of new faces. These guys got to learn about me and about what we want to do and what we're striving to do. And even our returning guys now, academically they're juniors, but basketball wise, they're really only sophomores. That's between the freshmen and these kids. I mean, I'll talk basketball years, they're sophomores and freshmen.
Yeah.
Right, that's 11 of our 14 kids, 15 kids are that way. So, we were hoping Kyrie, we weren't sure if he was going to come back. He had the eligibility, but he graduated, and he's out in the working world like the rest of us now. And that, we had to overcome, when you lose the best player in the conference, an All-American, that's not an easy thing to overcome. So, but we're slow. We're improving. That's what we're trying to do. Get a little better every day. And so far, we're getting there. Now we have a long break, which I'm not happy about, but, we do what we do.
It's funny you said that, because I kind of had a feeling that was going to be your answer, because sometimes the break, especially you guys have a long break. It's not like, for example, in some of the other conferences where the break is between 15 and 20 days. I mean, from the last game you guys played, essentially, we're talking about almost a 5-week break. That's a significant time. I mean, what do you guys do to keep the momentum then? Because we're talking about a 33-day break between the last game till SUNY ESF back home here on January the 16th. I mean, what do we do here to at least keep that momentum going?
Well, it's really a little less than that because, we practiced yesterday and we come back to practice on the 9th. So it's not 5 weeks, but it's whatever, 3.5 weeks, which is too long. We were spread out. Philippe's back in Poland and Paul's back in Florida and kids are going upstate. So they're kind of on their own. I can't follow them around. They gotta be true to themselves and everything and stay in adequate shape and get in the gym and get up some jump shots. So, when we come back on the 9th, I scared them. I said, I'm going to bring a scale. As long as I don't have to step on that scale. That was the problem with that. So, but we'll see when we come back. And then when we come back, we play ESF, who's really, really good. That's one of our biggest games all year, and we get them right away. So it's it's not going to be easy, but again, it's what we do. We're not making the rules, we're playing by them.
Well, I'm going to plead the fifth on the making the rules and breaking the rules here, Coach. But obviously, that is going to be a game that I'm not going to say it's going to determine the conference, but it's obviously right off the bat. And I'm looking at the conference and the different teams. I mean, that is going to be a huge, huge game. I mean, again, I know that semantics-wise, it's not 33 days. It's still a long break. We'll get into some of the players here in a few minutes. But, I mean, do you want it that way, that all of a sudden, right off the bat, January 16th, SUNY ESF? I mean, I know you can't control the schedule. I know the schedule makers have their way of making things. But, I mean, how do you feel about just going right into literally the belly of the beast, January 16th at home against SUNY ESF?
Wouldn't be my first choice, but it is. I mean, then you have Word is very good, and then at the end of the year we have Berkeley.
Berkeley's got some players. I know.
So hey, it is what it is. You have to, we're not afraid to play anybody. We'll play anybody anywhere. We have no problem doing that. We've done that. So I'm not. We'll be ready to go.
You're always ready. Listen, Coach, you're always ready. Listen, every time we speak with you, I'm always dying laughing because I know you're always going to be ready. You're almost like Easy Eddie. You're just always ready. I mean, so why am I not surprised? But speaking of wins, though, we'll get to the last game in a few minutes. But I did feel like an important win for the program was the win against Pratt. I know we've had wins by larger margins. I know there's more impressive wins out there, but I do think in a lot of ways, again, similar to the men's soccer team, how they won their games against teams that had, in different conferences, whatever it might be. But I did feel like a barometer for why this team is going to be at the top of the standings, at least in my opinion, and I'm sure you'd probably hope so and agree, in the conference, was that win against Pratt. I mean, talk to me about that win and if you thought that was as important as well.
Yeah, because the way a lot of things that didn't go our way that day, we fought through it. The girls played first, so we were getting on a bus at 9 a.m. for a game that started at 2:30 in the afternoon. Then going into a gym with no fans, and it's not an easy gym to play in. It's a big.
I know, and they do a terrible job in terms of actually trying to follow their game. I don't want to knock Pratt. I mean, because I could spend all day on it, but
it's just it's a tough gym to play in.
Yep.
And in reality, the 40-minute game, we stunk for about 30 minutes. We're bad, but we hung in there. We hung around. I'm not a big zone guy. We went to a zone. It kind of hurt us, and I think we had 10 points or 12 something ridiculous at the half. And we want to push, we want to play up tempo, want to play fast, and we want to press. And you can't press if you can't score. So we got a couple baskets, and we fought. Told the guys just hang in there, keep it close, and came back. Ian Williams, the freshman off the bench, played great the second half that day. Made a big basket at the end, and we hung on. And the other thing that I like, really, really played smart at the end of the game. A lot of really smart plays, and guys made foul shots. So it was a nice win after a long day. It was a nice win.
Let me ask you a question, because we've known you obviously, and we've watched this team over the past, I'll say 2 years technically, because I know it's been 3, but it's 2 technically. In that this team is run and gun. Again, very similar to those St. Joe's teams we love here on this station, where you just guys would get up in the court and everybody, whether it was Trey, whether it was Chris, whether it was Olivier, anybody else, you could name them, go down the line, right? Dave Ackery, yada, yada, yada. But that game was not what we're used to from the Five-Town Sound men's basketball team. I think, Coach, and tell me your thoughts on this, eventually for this team, in order to get into the postseason, win some games, eventually get into that USCAA tournament, I actually think that game was important, because when we know deep into the season, into January, certainly into February, if we get into March, that's the kind of game that we're going to have to win. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to win all kinds. You know, you play Berkeley, you're gonna have to, rebound and handle pressure and everything like that. And ESF is different. ESF won't play that way, but they're so smart and so well coached, and you're never gonna surprise them when you do anything when you play them. So you got to be prepared to play all kind of styles. And getting back to Pratt game, that the final was in the 50s, which is not all game, and then we won a game in the 50s, which was nice. We, like I said, I always tell the guys, if we score 100, which we did the other night, that means I want to score 120 the next night. So, yeah, but you got to do everything. You got to do a little everything. So, and that's what we try. And we try. All the guys got to try to do a little everything. You got to. We're not big, so little guys got to rebound. That's all.
Listen, Coach, and I have to say, because I've watched a lot of college basketball this year, especially at our level, and at this point, maybe I could be a scout. At this point, maybe I could at least certainly getting close to that point. I don't think they want to take you, but the fact of the matter is, that was one of the games this year that I looked at, because unfortunately Pratt doesn't have a stream, and I'm watching that game and I'm saying 53-51. We're not used to that at this level. It was almost kind of like a sluggish, kind of like slowly, very. I mean, for you, again, we know this team likes to score in the 80s, the 90s. We scored 105 the other day. I mean, so in a sense, this is certainly not the basketball that we hoped playing for, but I still think at the end of the day, to win a game like that on the road, long commute, 5 hours you only had, probably took you 2 hours to get to downtown Brooklyn, probably took you 2 hours to get back because of traffic and everything, and you got to get back home from campus. I mean, again, not an ideal environment, but I think coming out with the W was important. And one of the reasons why we've been coming away with a lot of W's of late and 5 consecutive wins, and I'm going to talk about him, and that is obviously Damani Merritt. I mean, Damani, just one of the best players around the conference. I know losing Kyrie was tough, and Kyrie and I felt when we spoke with you almost 2 years ago now that Kyrie was really the athlete that put this program, the entire school on the map. But Damani right now is right up there. I mean, I spoke with all the soccer guys. We had Angel Chavez. We talked about Joel Funes, everybody else. But Damani's right up there, 29 points, and he's just fun to watch him shoot the basketball. I mean, he's probably going to be, for my money, right up there in terms of Conference Player of the Year. And it's also his birthday, so we got to wish him a huge, huge happy birthday. So I'm going to talk about Damani and just talk about having him and how important he has been here in this 5-game winning streak.
Well, if Damani's going to hear this, I can't say nice things about him.
He's going to hear it. We're going to make sure on Instagram that he's going to hear it. I can guarantee you that.
I'll kid. No, Damani's he's a very special kid to start with. He fell into our lap when New Rochelle closed. And he does everything we asked him to do. He's a hard worker. He's however good of a player is, he's and I call them all kids, even though they're not. Great kid. He works hard. And he can shoot it. It's crazy. Coach Matejko, who we both know, has seen a lot of players always, and he watches all our games online, always kids me and says, he says, Damani Merritt's the best 2-point shooter in America, in the country. Because the nights where, he just pulls up. I kid Damani. I want him to shoot more threes, and he just won't do it. But and with Kyrie gone, and we had to talk about it, that he's got to pull a little more weight this year, and he's been up for the challenge for that. He's even starting to play defense, which I almost fell down on about a couple of times. He's up there in the field, everything like that. But no, we're very, very lucky to have someone like that in our program, both on the court and what he does off the court, what he does at the school. He's one of the most popular kids on campus, and we're lucky to have him.
Absolutely. And he's always got a smile on his face every time you see him on social media, and he's such an upstanding kid.
Sometimes he's going to be stealing your job one day, so you should be so nice to him.
Well, listen, you know what? I'm used to being nice to people, Coach, because we speak with professional wrestlers all the time, and they're big guys. I mean, we love Damani, but I got to be nice to a lot of people, because at this point, when you speak to these wrestlers, I mean, they could kill you. They could come out of the Zoom and just, strangle you and make you pass out. I mean, so obviously, we know that Damani is going to obviously take this job. He's going to do a better job with it. We do want to wish him a happy birthday. And I'm going to make you chuckle, because I'm watching Ryan Terrell of Yeshiva last night. And obviously, he's probably pound for pound one of the best players.
Yes, he is.
Every college basketball level. That's 1, 2, 3, you name it. And he's probably going to be a professional player. But I got to say, to Coach Mateko's point, Damani, he's right there with Ryan. I mean, Ryan might be a little bit more of a 3-point shooter. He might be a little bit more of a guy who can attack to the basket. But you know what? Damani and Ryan Terrell in a game of 12-foot shots, 14 to 16-foot jump shots, I might give him a fair shot there, because watching him play, I mean, he's right up there. He's like your Ryan Terrell of Yeshiva.
Yeah. I kid him. There was I think our first game at Albany, there was a technical foul called, and he missed the 2 technicals. And I've been killing him about it all year. And then a couple games later, then the game was kind of in control, so there was another technical, and he walks to the line. And I think I said to him, why are you going there to shoot him? He goes, Coach, I got these. I said, really? I said, okay. I said, if you miss these 2, you'll never shoot another one. And he made the first one. And when he stepped up to the second one, I think he looked over at me and winked, and then made the second one. So, but yeah, he can shoot it. There's no doubt about it. I don't know how
absolutely.
He didn't learn it from me. He didn't learn it from me.
No comment on that. Listen, obviously, no comment. And Damani, again, second in the conference in scoring, just under 21 a game. Obviously, him and Dontel Henry, that's going to be fun. Obviously, watching those 2 on the court. Obviously, those are my money, 2 of the best players in the conference. And again, what's impressive also about Damani is he shoots almost 50% from the field. Sometimes you get scorers, even at this level. Like we were talking about off the air, and I speak with some of the other schools throughout the area about some of the guys in York. And yeah, they score maybe just as much as Damani, but they're shooting like 41% from the field, 39%. I mean, what's very impressive about Damani is he's almost 50% from the field. So what it tells you, Coach, is that he's taking high-quality shots. So in a sense, I think maybe what he's doing is smarter, because it doesn't help the team if he's shooting 12 to 30. Sure, he's getting the same amount of points, but he's taking 30 shots. That's giving the other team possessions because you didn't score. So I think that what he's doing on the court is that he's actually helping his teammates, because of the fact he's taking those high-quality shots, and he's shooting, again, just about 50% from the field.
Yeah, he doesn't take many bad shots. He really does. And, with how well he shoots it, he kind of has a free gun with me, well, he does. It's because he doesn't take many bad shots. So, I let him go. I said, you keep going. If it's bad, I'll tell you. one of the games we played, I don't know, recently, they're all mixed up. Someone started playing a box of one against them. And we really said, we're going to die. So we're going to run what we run. And so just make 2 and 3 guys guard you, which he did. And then other guys started throwing jump shots in. So, I mean, he gets it, He and by the way, when he scores 29, and I know for a fact, and I never even talked about it, he would much rather, and this is unlike him, unlike his favorite player, he would much rather have to score 9 and win than score 45 and lose. And I kind of joke with him because his favorite player is Carmelo Anthony. I said, I don't think your favorite player would have that.
Oh, no way. Yeah, no
So,
way.
yeah,
No, Carmelo,
that's what,
unfortunately.
Yeah, so he's I said, what are you doing? So, but anyway, yeah, he's unselfish. He's a hard worker, and I get him another year, so that's another good thing. So,
yeah, very excited, obviously, watching him. And again, he reminds me of a few other players that we've had on here in the show. We've talked about in the fact that, yes, Damani can score. He's scoring 21 a game. He could probably even get another, 4 to 5 points. He probably could, and he may get there. Even next year, I have a feeling his numbers are going to improve. But he wants to win. And I think that that's also important here. We're establishing a culture, and I think you've done a good job in establishing that. And another player I wanted to mention, obviously, I mean, Damani's got the accomplishments. I know he's been honor roll player of the week and led the conference in scoring in a week and such a couple different times. But another player that's been important, he's right up there in the rebound category, which is going back to what you've always talked about, also talked about in terms of what you guys want to do, is Robert Williams, averaging 7 rebounds a game for you guys. And he's right up there, an important player in terms of giving those opportunities for guys like Damani to be able to get those points in. Talk about how important Robert Williams has been to this team.
Well, it's, Rob's a sophomore, but his 3rd year again because he lost COVID. One of the hardest working kids you'll ever see. I'm still, other than hello, coach, goodbye, coach. That's really the only thing Rob ever says. Never complains about anything. Never, ever, never. I mean, I've tried to get him mad at me. He won't get mad. Right? Plays hard. Plays so hard. Plays, I mean, like scary hard sometimes how hard he plays. Another really, I gotta say about all these kids, they're all real good kids. They get it. So unselfish. I yell, he has to shoot the ball more. There's a kid who won't shoot it. Like I said, Rob, you gotta shoot, and he can. He just won't shoot it. He's probably playing out of position. He probably should play more of a 3. And when else he's playing 4 or 5. But again, doesn't complain, just does it. Just does the grunt work, does all the dirty things. Guards the best player, sets all the screens, gets the rebounds. He's real hard worker, tough kid. We love him.
Absolutely. Again, a guy who does a lot of different things also, Coach. He's not just a rebounder. He's defensively a good player. I mean, he's in a lot of spots. And I think it also goes to the depth of this team in the fact that you have a number of guys. It's not just one guy that plays 35 minutes, 36 minutes. I mean, you have like 6 or 7 guys that legitimately are important parts. My point is there's like 6 or 7 guys on this team. You probably have like 9, but there's 7 of those players that you could put in, like you talk about Robert, how Robert could score more, but doesn't. You have about 6 or 7 different unselfish players. That's the point, I think, of what's important about this team, just in the fact that you have depth. You have, I think, 9 players that play over 15 minutes a game. I mean, that speaks to the type of team that we're building. And I think that's, again, going to be important for us come late into January and February when we're into the throes of the conference season.
Yeah, well, definitely. That's what we try to do. That's why we run and we press all day, because we know we're deep. I think we go really legitimately, we go 9 into the rotation. 9 guys are getting in every day if we're playing really good teams. They're on 9 guys getting in. And I feel confident with them. I feel confident. And even my numbers 10 through 12 are common. They're close. And that's one of the reasons why we're getting better, because our practices are so competitive. We get after it in practice, and we can now because we have guys that have to go up against each other all day. We don't play first team, second team. We cut them up evenly, and then we beat each other up in practice every day. I just sit back and watch it, but that's why they're getting better, because we're all better kids around us. But yeah, we are deep, and that's one of our best things that we have going for us right now.
Absolutely. And there is a lot of good things going for the Five Towns Sound men's basketball team, as the team is now 1-0 in the conference in the Hudson Valley Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. The boys have won 5 consecutive wins, including the statement win that they had at home against Vaughan. And what a wild game that was, of course, led by the likes of the birthday boy, Damani Merritt, and Robert Williams, and Philippe Yagelski. I'm going to continue to butcher that name. I'm going to try to get it right. I'm sorry, Philippe, on that.
You did pretty good. You did good.
I tried. Listen, I mean, knowing as many Russians as I have who are friends of mine in Brooklyn, it almost sounds like a Russian name. So we'll eventually get it there. But obviously, very, very excited to have on the coach of the Five Towns Sound men's basketball team. That is our dear friend, Mr. Greg Drzal, and I am the host of the Sports Report and the station manager here at Sportzwire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. Of course, if you like what you hear from the Five Towns Sound men's basketball team, please follow the athletics program on Instagram at 5towns_sound and keep up to date with all the great things that the program is doing. Also, make sure you follow the athletics department at athletics.ftc.edu. That's http:/athletics.ftc.edu, because there is a lot of things going on here in the program. Obviously, the men's team is now nationally ranked just outside the top 10. And of course, the women's team is in the top 10. We know about the men's soccer team, and you got to keep up with all the great things that Coach Drzal and the boys are doing. So make sure you do that. And of course, if you like what you hear from Sportswire Radio, please give us a like on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. Now, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to all of our great shows on sportnarium.com/play. We pretty much have everything for you. We even have an interview up there with Jason Facina, of course, the head coach of the Five Towns Sound men's soccer team, obviously the Hudson Valley Intercollegiate Athletic Conference champions, the number 1 ranked team of the USCAA this season. And of course, the boys were honored here tonight at the game for the women's team has against Yeshiva. So obviously, congratulations to Coach Facina and the team. And of course, shout out as always to athletic director Matt Gershio. And in fact, I was joking with Coach on the air here that Matt was actually calling me while I was speaking with a professional wrestler. And my choice was take a phone call from Matt Gershio, potentially get beat up on the air from a professional wrestler. So my choice was, unfortunately, Matt, I did have to take that call, obviously, as I'm speaking with the wrestler. And we'll definitely speak with you, bud, soon. Obviously, can't thank you enough for all you do for us. And obviously, we're speaking with, obviously, the head coach of the Five Towns Sound men's soccer team. That is the Five Towns men's basketball team. That is Greg Drzal. And obviously, Coach, a lot going on here. And I did want to bring it up because we are now just outside the top 10 in the USCAA. That's, again, it's a program we've only been up and running for the basketball program. I think it's just about 5 years at this point, technically, starting from 2022. And the fact that you guys are now just outside the top 10, I know we've been ranked a couple of different points here throughout the season, but does that mean anything to you? I know we were speaking with Coach Facina about it, and now they think about it. Now they look at it like it's a big deal. You guys are in the same position coming up there. We'll get Coach Alfaro's take on it next week as his team is in the top 10. You guys are outside it. I know there's still a lot of work to be done here for the program, but what does that mean to you in terms of being ranked number 11 right now in the country?
Kids like it. Shows you being recognized. I think the school like it. Nice to be recognized. Get your name out there. It means nothing to me. It means nothing. We gotta go play a win, baby. It means you go and lose 2 games tomorrow. That means nothing.
Hey, Drzal, you're supposed to tell me, oh, everybody on campus, I'm getting phone calls left and right. Coach Mateko's saying this is a good. You're supposed to tell me that this is like the greatest thing since sliced bread.
It's nice. It means nothing. What today's December. It means nothing. It means nothing. I want to be there in February. That's where I want to be. No, I want to be there in February. It's fine. It's nice. Shows we're working hard. You get a little recognition, but it means nothing. Go out and stink next week. It means nothing. You got to keep playing. Again, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. So
Okay,
just got
that's
to keep
fair.
going.
That's fair. And listen, some coaches have different perspectives on it. I remember we had on Rich McAuliffe, who was the coach at Brooklyn, the legendary Brooklyn College player. And when Brooklyn College had returned to becoming a ranked team, and this is back in the middle part of the last decade, it was a big deal to them because the program had essentially, like Five Towns, had to reset. There was a number of different things, and the team was coming back. They were on the way, but they still hadn't accomplished the goal of getting into the NCAA tournament. Just like the goal here is obviously getting into the USCAA tournament. Obviously, I remember speaking with Coach Matejko when St. Joe's had finally got ranked on those great teams. Obviously, different context because that Coach Matejko, again, we can get into it, as that school should have a statue built after him. They wouldn't be where they were. I might get in trouble for saying that, but that's the God's honest truth. It was a little bit of a bigger deal. I get where you're coming from here. Maybe also because, listen, the men's soccer team's been ranked. Coach Alfaro's got the girls' team ranked. I mean, we've got the accomplishment. So I get some of those things. So maybe in a sense, if I speak to you in 2.5 months from now and we win the Hudson Valley Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, we get into the USCA, you might have a different answer. So
Sure.
I get that. So I totally understand where you're coming from that. But there is a player I did want to get into because I am sure you do get a lot of questions and a lot of calls about how did you pull this one off? Because you have a player who's been the Hudson Valley Intercollegiate Athletic Conference Rookie of the Week, not once, but twice. He's up there in most categories. We talk about rebounds, scoring. He's all over the place. He's your big man. I mean, he's literally the big man on campus, figuratively, I should also add. And that is Filip Jagielski. I mean, here's a guy, I mean, he does everything for you. I mean, I don't know how you pulled this one off. I don't even think I asked you when you called up a couple of months ago live. We were on the radio on Sportzwire Radio, how you pulled this one. Maybe you knew something. Maybe you had a trick up your sleeve. But this is the guy, if I'm looking at why I think this team's going to win the Hudson Valley Intercollegiate Athletic Conference, why I think this team is going to go deep this year and continue to be a nationally ranked powerhouse, it very well could be Filip Jagielski. How did you pull this one off, Coach? And you've got to talk to me about what kind of player he is and how important he is for this program.
Well, Drzal is an Italian name. You know that, right?
You know, I wasn't gonna answer that. I'm not gonna answer
that. Jan Philippe. It goes by many names on campus. Yogi, don't understand. I've called him my Polish prince. Philippe went to high school in Florida.
Okay.
So that was the first thing. They played a couple tournaments all around, and I accidentally found tape of him somewhere. I couldn't even tell you where. And talked to him, and he was interested. He liked what we had as a major. He wasn't being recruited heavily, which, everyone else missed on him. That one, that happens. He falls through the cracks. I think maybe because of where he went to school. I'm not sure the league they played in maybe wasn't that great. He's legit 6'6", but he has guard skills. Fundamentally sound. Another really smart kid. He was his class valedictorian in high school. Came, visited, liked it, and we couldn't even visit. What am I talking about? Because that was still COVID. He couldn't visit. I don't know if he came on a visit with his own, but he's been great. He loves it. He just blended in really, really well. He's always, even though he's a freshman, he's already gotten into a leadership part of the team where, he gets on the guys when he can, and he respects his elders. He knows it's Nigel's and Damani's team. But he's a good player. Cutting it short, he's a very good player. He does everything. Shoots threes, rebounds, passes, handles, and another really hard worker. When he came to campus, he just said, "Coach, could I have a basketball?" And I remember Matt calling me. He said, the custodian, he's asking the custodians, could you turn the lights on? I think at night. So he's going down the gym to get jump shots up. Him and Paul Allen, the other freshman from Florida. Yeah, he's been great. He's been great. No complaints here.
Well, obviously, I mean, gee, well, you're going to complain about somebody that's giving you the production that he's given you in terms of almost 12 a game, 7 rebounds. He's just outside the top 10 in scoring. He's right up there in free throw percentage. I mean, he's been rookie of the week a couple different times in the conference. He's obviously already one of the best players in the conference. And hearing you describe it, I've obviously got to watch some of the tape of the team a little bit, obviously, because following the program and such, and obviously just our overall, just in terms of who we follow within the college basketball scene in our area. I'm going to give you 2 comparisons of a player that you kind of described Philippe for, and off the European influences. The first one, Arvydas Sabonis. Second one, because he's probably a little bit smaller than Sabonis, Tony Kukoc, in terms of what he could do in terms of just maybe lanky, can handle the ball, can shoot it from the outside a little bit, very versatile. Talk to me about those comparisons. Do you see some of those similarities in that?
Porzingis.
Okay.
And he's met him. And he's met like camps over in Poland and stuff like that. And he told me I see a lot of him in that, the way they play. That and Nowitzki.
Well, I gotta tell you, I was trying to be safe. I could have said Nowitzki and Porzingis, but I'm like, okay, let me come up with a few players that coach won't dismiss me on because I mean, Kukoc and Sabonis were good players, but Nowitzki is an all-time great. Porzingis is going to get there. So the fact that we're already putting Philippe in that category, I think
he's not that good.
In 5 pounds history, he might be, but in 5 pounds history, we're not saying NBA history. 5 pounds history.
Game, well, let's call it his game is that way. The Polish Prince isn't there yet. I mean, but his game is like that.
In 5 pounds history, it's what essentially Kyrie and Damani right now, and whoever else we have at the moment. So I mean, he could get there. We've got a few years still. I mean, to be fair, he could get there.
But yeah, he's been great though. He's been great.
And another player I've got to bring up because obviously you brought up seniors, and obviously the guy I think that does a lot for you, and obviously leadership on the court and obviously off the court. Nigel Brathwaite, obviously Nigel Brathwaite Jr., big part of this team. He's been here with you. You've got to talk to me about what he brings because I think he's a guy that almost reminds me of some of the guys that I covered on the last John Jay team in 2020, where the intangibles off the court might outweigh what he brings on the court.
Well, Nigel holds a special place to me because I recruited him. He was the first guy I brought in when I became head coach. And he's, we've been together Matejko was still going to be the head coach, and then John left. So, I took over with him. So we've been together 4 years. He's as close to being a son as my 3 other sons he is to me. He just does everything. He just, another one, never complains. If he's not playing as much or playing more, there's never a problem with it. Never. And he does everything. All the stuff that needs to be done outside of basketball, or is get in touch with guys and help him with everything. That's Nigel. I mean, he's the 3rd assistant coach almost. It's like I already get sad now thinking about him. He's not going to be here next year.
Well, don't get sad on us, coach. We've got a lot of basketball left.
Well, I kid with him because technically he has a year of eligibility next year, but he's graduating on time and getting out. So I'm saying, come on, Nigel, why don't you hang around for 1 more year? But You know, he gets what he's doing. He knows what basketball is in his life. You know, he loves it playing, but you know, he's going to go on, and when he leaves the basketball court, whatever he chooses to do, he's going to be really good at it. Whatever field he's in, he's just a superior kid. His family's that way, and he does everything for us. And we had a really good thing. The first game of the year we played up at Albany, and Albany's been a little thorn on our side. They knocked us out of the playoffs last year, and then also 2 years ago, and then during that year 2 years ago, we played them in a regular season and had the game won, and Nigel kind of made like a little slip off of a play at the end of the game, and we lost. And it was over. He felt crushed, and as you know me and my nice ways, I've been kind of making the chops about the play for 2.5 years now. And when we played at Albany to start the year, it was a really tight game. A couple seconds left, and he made like an unbelievable play at the end of the game to basically win the game for us at the end of the game. And he came in, I looked at him, and we both know it. And like we kind of looked and just shook our heads and said, okay, and that's a payback on that one. I said, all right, we got it back, you know. So, but he's a special kid, special kid. He's not a kid no more. He's a special young man.
Let me ask you a question, because you said something that I know has come up with a couple of different coaches, because we speak with different schools, and obviously the brute force Brad Weiss is with me, and he's coaching now obviously at Plainview JFK on the boys varsity level. He just ended his career, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on this, because we do have that year of eligibility that everybody's granted additionally. It's a tough decision. I know at this level, it's not as if at the D1 level, it's like, yeah, okay, you know what? I work my way around it. Maybe I get a class, and maybe I don't have to go do as much schooling, and I can play. I can use the time, because listen, maybe I play professionally, or maybe I want to be on campus, whatever it might be. I get the scholarship, but at this level, at our level, it's so tough to almost kind of say to these kids, hey, can you come back one more year, because they've got to go out and, let's say, provide for their families, or what if they are in a relationship, or they have a child, or whatever it might be. There's no, okay, Europe is waiting. I mean, Doug Levy was an exception. Jason Brower was an exception. But by and large, at our level, it's you graduate, you have to go out and get a real job. I mean, how do you talk to some of your upper class members? I mean, I know Damani's got another year or two that we can put that off. But even some of you guys like Nigel as an example. I mean, is there a way that you think that they would want to say, you know what, maybe after I graduate, maybe I can work it in and figure out the practices, the team meetings, and play? I know it's difficult to juggle those things, but do you think that that's something that could be done? I mean, what's your thoughts on that realistically?
Well, it's every situation. Of course, as a coach, I'd want him to stay, but that's selfish of me. We have the same thing with Ansley Vasquez this year.
We're going to get to him next.
Yeah, he's a senior, but he has a year. Nigel and Ansley are both, great students. They're graduating on time. D1 level, it's easy. Why? Maybe I would stay. They're paying for my books. You're paying for my school. You're paying for my food. And we travel and we go to tournaments in California and Aruba and Bermuda, and we travel first class, and my guys are having a hard time getting $10 to get a pizza.
Oh, we've heard the stories off the air. We've heard different, it's tough.
They're ready. They want to go out and go make some coin, make some money, and use their education. And I don't blame them. That's what they got to do. The basketball's the fun part. Like I said, I always ask them, are you on track to graduate? Once they say, yeah, I'm on track, I kind of leave the question there. That's on them. I'm not going to ask them to come back. So you go graduate, you get out there, but, it's a pretty easy topic. I think at our level, I don't think there's, they got to go. I mean, if they want to stay, they'll tell me they want to stay, and then we'll talk about it. But
I get it. I mean, look, even with Yeshiva, and I speak to some of the people that watch that team closely, and they're going to face that decision, and they're the number one ranked team in all of Division III. So, unfortunately, at this level, it's like you said. I mean, Look, I think back, Coach, when I went to school and I was at John Jay, it was like I didn't have any money. All I got was enough student loans to cover my books. That was it. It was like, and I wasn't an athlete. My parents were like, you got to go out and get a job or else you're out the door. I mean, that's, I'm not going to put my parents down, God rest my father's soul and everything else like that. But I get it. Even at this level, you're an athlete, you're a star player. You got to, you have to provide for yourself. There's really no money here at this level. You're playing because you really believe in what you do. You believe in what you, as an individual, what your talents are. But it's, you have to go out and make a living because, again, you don't have, there's no money. So I get it. But I always like to ask because some coaches might have different expectations or different opinions, and that's totally fair. And I did want to get into Ansley Vasquez because he's another guy. I mean, this was a solid one you got, Coach. Another guy here brings you, again, a lot of leadership. He can do a lot. He passes the ball well. He shoots the three. I mean, another nice player here for the team. Fits in really nicely, I think, in what you were trying to incorporate here, I think, for this season.
Yeah, Ansley's been great. That's filling a gap felt by, Lloyd Middlebrooks graduating.
Yep.
Or Rocket. And Ansley's so smart. He gets it. And he's also helping out our other point guard is Ian Williams, a freshman. And he is what I said, he's a freshman. And who has a lot of talent and is going to be a player, but he sometimes acts like a freshman. And Ansley has been that bridge. Again, Ansley, the games like I told you, the Pratt game, Ian played a good chunk the second half because it was just working. And when we went with Ian, Ansley didn't complain, didn't bitch, didn't moan, nothing, and just got back up there. And there have been times where we've had a couple leads at games, and I took Ansley out. And I said, Ansley, I got to get him some minutes because I'm thinking about our future. Let me get the freshman some minutes when the game really isn't in doubt anymore. At the spite of his minutes, and Ansley goes, Coach, I get it. Like you don't have to explain it to me, Coach. I get it. Again, he's fabulous, smart, real smart kid. Knows what he's doing. He's walking out with a degree. Come this spring. And another guy that I'm not worried about when they leave the court on what are they going to do. Again, they're going to do something well because they're real good level, smart, good thinking, hardworking people. Again, he's not a kid anymore; he's a young man too. So we've been lucky to have him to fall into our lap too.
Let me ask you a question because you said a couple different things there, and I want to go back to that because obviously we know Ansley and his leadership, what he's doing for the team, the mentoring. Nigel, I know what he means to you, but I know that sometimes you can get a situation where maybe a player that has the kind of skills that, let's say, off the court that, let's say, a Nigel has, or certainly an Ansley does, and somebody you know very well in a Doug Niblock that's continued his career as a coach, and Brad Weiss obviously is doing that. Brendan Fitzpatrick is another guy locally that's doing that back at Cortland. I mean, let's say when it comes to an Ansley or a Nigel, do you see them maybe being potential like assistant coaches or graduate assistant coaches, something like that at that level maybe? Or it's like they have a set in stone place? Because it sounds like they have a lot they could give to the game of basketball still. I mean, is that something you see at all?
I haven't actually spoken to them about that. I don't know if they have that to do. I mean, they would be really good at it. That's for sure. Again,
I mean, listen, Doug's doing it. Doug Niblock is doing it. I mean, obviously, Brendan Fitzpatrick is somebody that you may have heard of. He's doing it. The brute force Brad Weiss. I mean, you can't get the brute force Brad Weiss off the court at this point. I mean, because of the sports report, he's like in high demand. So listen, you never know. I mean, that's why you're describing them like they have a lot they could give to the game of basketball. I would kind of think.
Yeah, I don't know if they're leaning that way. I really don't.
Okay, that's fair.
I have no idea, but I know if they did, they would be real. They would do a fine job with it. Corey Jacks are all players. He's over at St. Dom's now doing it, and one of our assistants, Roy Jimenez, was with me played for me when I was at St. John Baptist, when I was assistant at Baptist. So Roy's there. So yeah, we have guys who will bounce around, coaching all over the place. But yeah, I haven't talked to them about that. But if they wanted to, they would do a real good job at it.
Listen, I mean, to me, because I hate seeing players that can give so much to the game at this level, almost more or less just leave it. To me, like Doug, again, and I know you know Doug Niblock, and I look at Doug, and to me, Doug had so much that he could give to the game. Obviously, his brother and everything else like that. So you just hate seeing somebody who has the leadership skills that those guys have, that they do that.
I think Nigel and Ansley may be too smart. They're not crazy enough. Good for them that they won't get it. They might be so smart they know not to get into it.
It's funny you said that, because I'm doing this 3 years now, and I have people tell me that all the time, and they'll ask me, they'll say, Tom, what are you doing? And I'm saying, I'm watching Five Towns, I'm watching St. Joe's, I'm watching John Jay, I'm watching Yeshiva. And they're like, what's the matter with you? You've lost your mind. I'm like, well, I can't get enough of the game at this level. I mean, York's another example. I watch York because they're almost like the clone of you guys, except you play a little bit better defense. I mean, certainly for sure, but not to take a shot at Nolan Adams, but the fact of the matter is that you guys, I love watching basketball at this level. I enjoy it more than the NBA game. People like say I'm crazy because maybe they're right in that they're getting out. It's almost like they know that the inmates run the asylum and they're getting out kind of like unscathed, and maybe that's the right call for it. But obviously, shout outs to them. They are doing a phenomenal job with the team. And I wanted to ask you, in terms of 2022, what are your goals with the team?
For the rest of the year?
Well, we're going to 2022. What are your goals for the team in the season? I mean, I'm sure we're going to know what the obvious ones are, but what are your goals?
First, you want to get in the conference tournament, then you want to win the conference tournament. To make it cut it simple, that's what you want to do. I mean, that's it. I'm going to put it crazy out of the way, and we just got to keep getting better. And to do that, we got to keep getting better. And we have times, we slip at times. We get sloppy in practice.
Well, how about the Vaughn game? You guys are up like 20-something. They come back, and it's a game in halftime, and then all of a sudden it was like you guys just turned it on, and it was, you would never know it was a 44-point game. That's an example of that, right? Am I right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We lose our focus a little bit sometimes, and that's part of being young, and that's part of not having not played in a year and a half. I'll blame it on that. I'll take part of the blame on that too, to keep them that way. But and that's the part of us getting better. We're gonna be, we can't, when we start playing this other part of the schedule, we can't be good for 25 minutes. You can't be good for 30 minutes. You can't take that possession. You cannot not run back that possession. You cannot run the lane that possession. No, that 2 points we might need, we're gonna need.
Yeah.
So that's what we got to work on when we come back. Just we got to treat every possession the same. And it's getting there slowly. I shouldn't say slowly, but it's getting better.
We've won 5 in a row. We're getting there. We've won 5 games in a row. We've got some nice wins here in the winning streak. We've definitely shown that we've got potential. And I knew you were going to say that, because I know at this level, you're coaching literally to the last second. I watched some of these games, and I'll throw one as a bonus. I'll frame it in a way that I can be as political as possible, but I'll mention it. 2022, without naming conferences or schools, let's hope that we can get some games in for Five Towns and the men's basketball team. That could be some opponents that, using my wrestling skills, my wrestling promotion, could be some popcorn material and some pay-per-view like quality games, because there are a few schools out here in the geographic area. Won't name schools because we might have relationships with them. We might not. Some others, we probably do have relationships with them. Well, all I will say is 2022, one of my resolutions for you, Coach, and the entire program, Coach Alfaro, we'll speak with him next week. Obviously, Coach Facina, but let's get some teams that our schools for our teams can play against that we can see how we match up.
Sure, we'd love to play St. Joe's. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying St. Joe's. I'm pleading the fifth on that because, full disclosure, we have the coach of St. Joe's coming on next week. So, full disclosure, you didn't hear their name drop from me. I have nothing to do with that. I'm not saying anything about that school. It could be, I'll throw John Jay's name in there. I'll throw my buddy Nolan Adams in York in there. I'll throw any school you want to throw in there. It doesn't, quote unquote, have to be St. Joe's. I could even throw Coach Toomey in Farmingdale in there.
Yeah, I'll play anyone that's a half hour away. I love it.
Exactly. Listen, so it doesn't quite have to be at the Danzy Center. It doesn't quite have to be at Farmingdale's gym. It doesn't have to be anywhere. All I'm saying for the entire program, whether it's the men's basketball team, the women's basketball team, the men's soccer team, anybody else, let's just get the popcorn out. Let's see who we could potentially match up with in our geographic radius. That could be something that where we could see where who could come out on top. It'll happen. I'm not sure if it'll happen in 2022, but it will happen. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to put you in that spot, Coach. I'm not naming schools. I'm not naming names.
It's not a spot. Well, hey, I mean, they're big door. They don't beat us up, but we would just like to play.
But you know what? I gotta be now. I'm gonna say it. I just watched John Jay have an exhibition against Hofstra. I know you had one against Malloy with obviously their team and their program. Speaks for itself. John Petroselli's a friend. Yada yada yada. Coach Vicina, I'm sure had some work in that. Won't confirm it or deny it. But you know what? I would want to see those games. I want to see you guys square off against Old Westbury. I want to see you guys square up with probably. Heck, I would even want to see you guys square up with my good buddy Joe Cocazello and St. Joe's Brooklyn. I think that would be an interesting matchup. Listen, there's a lot of games out there. Ryan Highland and the John Jay boys. I'd love to see you guys square off with Hunter. There's a lot of games I'd love to see you guys square up with. It doesn't have to be particularly St. Joseph's, Long Island. That's all I'm going to say. There's a lot of games out there. And you know what? It's good for the kids. It's good for the program. It's good for everybody. It's a win-win for both schools. That's what I think.
I agree. And hopefully in the next couple of years, hopefully we'll be NCAA. And, that'll be taken care of then now. So.
It will be. Listen, rest assured, it will be. Listen, we're going in that direction. I'm not the AD here. I'm not the SID. I'm not the president of the school, but that's going to happen. You guys are going to win championships. Alfaro's team is doing well. Obviously, Coach Vicina. And obviously, we have a few more minutes with Coach Greg Drzal, obviously the head coach of the Five-Town Cell men's basketball team. Always delighted to speak with Coach Drzal, and I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager here at Sportzwire Radio. And again, if you like what you hear from Five Towns Athletics, please go to athletics.ftc.edu anytime for the entire program. Keep up to date with all the great things they are doing. Follow them on Instagram at 5towns_sound. Keep up to date with everything that Coach Drzal and the boys are doing. And Coach, I did want to ask you this question. Obviously, seeing the success of the men's soccer team, obviously seeing what Coach Alfaro is doing, does that rub off on you guys? I mean, do you guys look at that and say, you know what? Coach Vicina's team wins the conference, goes to the USCA championship game. Obviously, Coach Alfaro's got Jordan Tobin. He's got Essence Rayford. He's got a team that he's building in terms of winning the championship. I mean, does it rub off where, you guys all feel like, you know what, that karma's coming in, or you feel like it's certainly helping the team overall and overall morale with your guys and watching that stuff? I mean, talk to me if that comes into mind at all.
Oh, sure. It was a neat experience watching them move on and show our guys, there's something to achieve for. They could do it. Jay did a great job with those guys this year. It's good for, it's proud of them, what they did. And
he's going to listen to this. So you do know he's going to want to hear this.
Oh, then if he is listening, then I wasn't proud of him then. They won despite that. No, Jay Jay's a hard worker, man.
No, he's a good man. He's a good man. Listen,
Jay's
I gotta
hard
be
worker.
honest. He's straight up hard worker. I mean, I don't know how he puts it. He's got a young kid. He's got a wife. He's got a job at the DOE. He does this. I don't know how he does it. I got to be honest. I'm gonna put it out there.
I know Jay was a touch on when the start of our season was, the end of the soccer season. I guess it was at the daylight savings, and I get to the gym early for our practice one morning while it's still a little dark out, and I see like 15 cars parked around the soccer field with their headlights on, and it was Jay's guys getting ready to practice in the morning.
Oh, they told us that on the air. We had Chavez on. He was telling me 7 o'clock in the morning they were at the field practicing. Yep.
So Jay's got that coaching mental brain that makes you go a little wacky. But now they did a great job. Yeah, but of course the kids look up to that, and it was watching the game on TV, the I guess the semifinal game and then the championship game. We had it on TV at the school. It was a great thing, and I definitely had a little inspiration to the basketball guys. I'm sure all the other girls, women's teams, to something to shoot for. It was a nice run. Just one game short, but did a great job. Did great.
Absolutely. Listen, absolutely. Huge shout out as always to Coach Casina. Love Coach Casina. Obviously, speak to Coach Casina all the time, and shout out to the guys, obviously, and all the great things that they're doing. We know that they'll be back. We know that they'll go on and do things that, again, that'll only surpass what they've done here. But I always have to ask you, because speaking of coaches, I know you squared off with Coach Marquardt, but to me, the guy that I always think is the coach, and who I'm going to ask, I got to ask you how he's doing, and that is, of course, the great John Matejko. And I will say it again and again and again, and I have told Coach McSoy this, and I'm not afraid to say this. I'm waiting for the statue. I'm waiting for him to be in the SJC Athletics Hall of Fame. I know that they've changed some leadership there. It's getting a little bit better there, but Coach Matejko, again, to me, he built that program. It's the house that John Matejko built. Going to put that out there. Always going to put that out there. I know Coach hates hearing himself. That I can assure you're going to agree with me on. But do got to ask you on, how's Coach Matejko doing?
Don't forget he built this program here too.
I know, but St. Joe's, but we recognize him here at Five Towns.
Right.
St. Joe's, I'm sure we could talk a lot about that often, which we have. What he did for that program, they would not be in the Skyline Conference if it was not for John Matejko. It's a simple fact.
Yeah, I haven't seen them yet. We talk a lot. He's, of course, being in college all the years that he was and everything, now going to high school, and at the start of the season, I think half his team were football players, and they went to the Long Island Championship. And I probably coached more high school than him. I said, I told him it's always good to have some football players on your team, because they come in kind of angry, and it never hurts. He's doing great. He's enjoying it, and I think he's enjoying, just coaching and having his team again, because that's what he does, and he does really, really well. I just talked to him quickly. His first game, a typical with coach. He said they were down 10 with a minute and change to go or something like that. And they came back and won the game. Tells the story. I wasn't surprised by it, of course, but he's happy. He's like he's being in the court, knowing what he's doing, and he always does a good job. So there's no surprises here with that. Good man, good coach.
Great man, great coach.
Yep.
And I think he's in his element, and he went through a lot, obviously. Everything that obviously went down in Iona, obviously, unfortunately, the end there at St. Joe's, and we're very happy to hear that now he's getting to coach and just focus on coaching, because he is great at that. And we know that he's going to have a lot of success here, just like you are having a lot of success. And that is why we're always very delighted to have you. And we're not going to talk to you about Yankee trivia like last time. We're not going to talk about any of that, because we don't want to speak about baseball right now. We're all upset about baseball at the moment, but we are excited about the Five Towns men's basketball team and everything you guys are doing. Of course, you guys will be back in action here January the 16th against SUNY ESF. And Coach, it's always an honor. I want to give you the floor. I want to give you any closing thoughts, anything else you want to share, anything else you want to say to the team, or anything I missed. Obviously, it's always an honor, always a pleasure. I can't thank you enough, and fire away for us.
No, thanks for having us back on. You can get me anytime, especially when I'm not talking about Yankees, so I won't. The blood pressure.
Yeah, last time you called in, it was hysterical. We had you on, and it was almost like I'm dying off my chair now, but I was really like about to fall off my chair, figuratively and literally. I was actually about to fall off my chair here. So this time we were had a little bit more composure.
Yeah, no, we're all good. Hopefully we get to talk again in January, and we have some good news with what's going on February, what's going on for the month of January and early February, and just we get going before that conference tournament. But we're going to keep pushing along here and moving along, and just keep trying to reload and get going.
We'll definitely reload. We're very excited. January 16th can't come soon enough. Obviously, looking forward to speaking with Coach Alfaro, getting his side of the story. Obviously, he'll have a lot to say as well. Obviously, that'll be an interesting conversation, but it's a good time to talk about the program, continue to talk about the momentum that we've built here again in Five Towns, because thanks to Coach Pateco's leadership in such a short amount of time, look at where we were to look at where we are now. We're even talking about, playing those schools that may or may not be in our geographic radius, talking about winning championships, players like Philippe, players like Damani, players like Ansley, and so on and so on. So obviously, we're looking forward to the future. Coach, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Looking forward to working with you here in 2022, and definitely congratulations and keep up the good work, and we'll speak with you soon.
You too. Stay healthy. Happy holidays.
As we're here on the Sports Report, the number one global sports show with our number one head coach, and there's the head coach for the Five Towns men's basketball team, Greg Drzal.
The wrestling.
As I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager here at Sportzwire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. Stay tuned here for more hard-hitting analysis, and we'll be back talking Five Towns Town and the women's basketball team here Monday night with Anthony Alfaro, the head coach of the team of the number 9 ranked team in the USCIS. We're just with the number 11th ranked team in the country, the Five Towns Town men's basketball team. The head coach, Greg Drzal. I am the host of the Sports Report, the station manager here at Sportswire Radio, the Reverend Tom Bryson. Thank you here for listening, everybody. Good night.